Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. We're watching a clip of First Things First. Talk about the Cowboys and how they are all in on signing Dak and Parsons. They were talking about all in before, about we're all in this season, making moves. And now it's like, well, we're all in about re-signing Dak and Parsons. It's like, well, that's two very different things. So that's pretty funny, and that's strategic. The fact that he now changed and said we're all in on getting that done. Oh, Cowboys fans, I genuinely feel your pain. Although you somehow still have top odds, to win the Super Bowl. Technically, I think you're considered maybe like top 5. I forget exactly, but still within range. I just do not see it. And even I can see the NFC odds: San Francisco, Detroit, and Dallas. That's comically hilariously absurd, because there's no way that Dallas should have better odds than the Packers or the Eagles at this point. So let's take a listen to see what these guys have to say, and then we'll break it down from there.
Checking on the Cowboys, there's an old saying: if you're not moving ahead, you're falling behind. And Cowboys haven't done much this offseason because they're more focused
in sports, definitely.
Who they have. Here's Stephen Jones from last week. It's a great thing having the Micah CD and the Dak challenge ahead of us in terms of getting them under the cap. And we're all in, there's all in again, on getting that done. Again, this was last week.
Yeah.
I didn't make that up. Your reaction.
I think it's weird because it's the Cowboys, but this is how smart teams are run. Oh. You draft well and you keep your homegrown star players. And you don't splurge in free agency, because usually that is paying at the top of the market, and also because you don't have the money because you are paying your homegrown players. The Cowboys Brew are a very, very well-run business whose franchise, I'm just trying to use an analogy, whose top 2 employees choke in the biggest moments, and whose as a carnival barker doing their commercials. But the way the Cowboys...
I just always take issue with this notion of choking. Choking means that you are capable of doing something, and then the pressure of the moment gets to you, and you're kind of like shaking, right? And you just fumble it, right? Someone holds you, I don't know, a baby, and you can't handle it, and you just drop it. And you're like, no! But you're obviously more than capable of holding it. That is not what happens to Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a good player, very good player. He's not a great player, and he's not elite. He doesn't have the ability to play really great elite football consistently at the highest stage with the highest competition. Okay? He doesn't choke. It's not that the moment just gets the best of him. It's that he's now playing considerably higher competition. Okay? And he can succeed at that level, but maybe 3 out of 10 times, 4 out of 10 times. And in order to be truly elite, truly great, like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Tom Brady, you have to do this at a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. I don't really know the exact numbers, but hopefully you follow what I'm trying to say. To choke is like you truly can succeed 7 out of 10 times in those moments. Like you're just physically, genuinely capable of bringing that level of performance consistently. But the moment gets the best of you and you can't. And so now you can only do it like 1 or 2 out of 10 times, if that. That's not what happens to Dak. Dak has a losing record against winning teams for his career, not just postseason here, okay? Are we saying that he chokes against just good teams? But then he balls out against bad teams? That's just not the way it works. So every time they say that someone like Dak is choking, it's a huge pet peeve of mine, because we use that in sports all too often. Oh, so-and-so choked. So-and-so choked. LeBron choked. Didn't make the shot at the end of the game. No, he just missed the ball. He just missed the shot. He didn't choke. Steph Curry doesn't choke at the end of a game. The shot just didn't go in. No matter how ugly or bad. In football, no matter how bad the throw is, and no matter how bad the interception is, it's not choking. It was just couldn't get the job done. Choking is, if you're trying to date someone and you want to go up to like a girl or a guy, and you're all nervous, and they're like, hey, how you doing? And you're like, hey, what's going on? That's choking. walking up to someone and just not having a great personality and saying, hey, what's going on? Want to come back to my apartment? And she's like, whoa, I don't even know you. You're a weirdo. That's not choking. That's just you not understanding how to maybe date or approach, someone. So there's different levels to this. And so I had to pause right away to be like, just stop with this narrative. Dak Prescott is not choking. This is who Dak Prescott is. And the sooner you guys acknowledge that and accept that as a Dallas Cowboys fan, the more realistic expectations you can have, and you can now understand what you need to do to get yourself over this hump, to build a better team. Because if you think Dak is just choking, then you're under this impression, well, hey, maybe we can get to a point where Dak will no longer choke. It's not the way it works.
Cowboys actually run the team is smart. They don't have a lot of bad contracts. They draft really well. It was good for them to say, you know what? We are not going to pay top dollar to keep Tony Pollard, and we're not going to go out there and try to sign an expensive running back. We're going to spend our time making sure CD and Micah, two of our first-round picks who have unquestionably hit, stay here. I get all of that. None of that changes the fact that Dak and McCarthy have terrible postseason resumes and that you believe correctly Jerry causes distractions. But this type of stuff, I do not think they should be criticized for. Okay. I think this is good business and smart football.
Well, at first I thought maybe they don't know the meaning of all in, right? I mean, Jerry's, we're all in. Yeah. Steven, we're all in. But now after listening to some of the commentary that's out there, seeing some of the reports, maybe it was a little misdirection. Maybe all in means just like the Jets. We're going for it. I heard Schefter today talking about they might be going for like the 1 year, Dak's on 1 year, Mike McCarthy's on 1 year, Mike Zimmer, who they just hired, 1 year deal as a defensive coordinator, right? That they're going for it this year and going to see. Well, Dak, I think he's going to get signed. Yeah. But I'm just telling you what Adam Schefter said. Dak, let's see what you do.
That's why they're getting all in.
And maybe they'd be willing to move on if he can't get it done this year.
Wow.
I mean, I think they're going to sign all three of them. I think you do too. But I'm just saying, I'm surprised by this commentary out there that they might just be playing this year. Go for it. McCarthy could be gone. Dak could be gone if it doesn't work out.
So I, with respect.
You've heard that too, right?
Yeah, I've heard it. I think it's what is called public negotiation. I think Dak's agent, Todd France, is operating from the place of, you have to re-sign my guy because the Cowboys have to re-sign his guy and because the Cowboys are going to re-sign his guy. And that is a terrible negotiating place for the Cowboys to be in. So they are floating out there to people with big platforms. Oh, we might just let him play this year and see what happens to try to soften the negotiating stance.
I agree with you on that.
I am with near 100% confidence that Dak Prescott and Trevor Lawrence are both signing new deals before next season begins. Whether people think it's smart business or not, both of those things are happening because that's how business is done.
The thing with Trevor is that even if he's not this superstar we thought he'd be,
still,
and it's cheaper now.
Yeah,
he's still probably a franchise quarterback, and it's cheaper to do it now than doing it next year.
Sure, and you have that half a playoff.
Yeah, I think the question is with the Cowboys, I mean, just letting Dak play, over this final year would be definitely a suspect thing, because if you're not going to get rid of him, if you're not going to move off him, then the question is what are you going to do? And if you re-sign him, you're better off re-signing him now than the next year because it'll just cost more money, right? Every year you wait, it just will cost you more money. So unless they had this idea, and this is obviously not going to happen, but let's say, Kirk Cousins was going to be the free agent, right? That he was this year and how he was able to sign with the Falcons. And let's say they knew he's going to be available next season. He's a good quarterback, and we're going to be able to get him for $45 million rather than pay Dak $60 million. And then we'll really be able to afford everyone, and we'll be able to maybe even get a play and get an even better player. Then that's your long-term play. Then I could understand that. I haven't looked into it. I don't know if maybe some of these other random quarterbacks are available. And so, maybe the Cowboys try to take a San Francisco 49ers, approach where they're just let's stack the team like crazy. And then, and then we just need a pretty good quarterback. And then, hey, we can really do some damage. But the truth is that people talk about that. But the reality is one, that's very difficult to do. You have to really know what you're doing. You have to get lucky with some draft picks, and you have to do it at specific times when the players are young enough where you're not having to pay them all this money. And you need an elite head coach to make it all happen. The 49ers work because of Shanahan. If you replace Shanahan with Mike Tomlin, that team is not doing what it's doing. I don't care who the quarterback is. Outside of maybe like a Mahomes or a Josh Allen or Joe Burrow. But outside of that, it's like, you need the elite coach to put this all together. So I understand that the Cowboys are definitely in a difficult situation because they have players who are good, who are wildly expensive, but like a Dak Prescott, who is not transcendent, who does not truly elevate your team to the next level. But he plays a good regular season game. He does feast on bad teams, and that always gives this illusion of he's this great, great quarterback. And he's not. He's a good quarterback. He's deserving to be a starting quarterback. But you have to pay him so much money. You have to pay him like he can do what Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes can do. But he can't. He can't do those things. So when you pay him all that money, you can't then make the aggressive moves. You can't make that play and say, let's get Christian McCaffrey, let's get Debo. Like, you don't do those aggressive things. Let's get OBJ. Let's get Von Miller. Like, they don't there's only so much to go around. So when all this money is going to like a Micah and a CeeDee Lamb and now Dak, you're left, those three players, and a couple other like Diggs and stuff, they have to be so amazing, so transcendent, so over the top good that they have to make up for everything else. And that is the difference of kind of the Kansas City Chiefs back in their original run, back when it was Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. They were so good, so unbelievable that it was okay that they were maybe lacking in a few other areas. But even them, they couldn't get away with not having a good enough offensive line, and they got blown out against Tom Brady, right? Like, even them, they needed, some extra help, but they were still able to at least get there under those circumstances because those players were all good enough to overcome some of their defects. That is not the case with Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy, for that matter. He's not the type of coach that could overcome some of those things. So, again, I understand why if you're Jerry Jones, you don't want to be too aggressive with this and try to move on from Dak or, move from Micah. And I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't, but I understand why you're not because, what do they say? Good is the enemy of great. And the Dallas Cowboys are a good team. And they are a well-run team because they are consistently competitive. But, we got in this whole debate a few weeks ago about do they have a winning culture, yes or not, yes or no. And I said no. And so I do get where the Cowboys, are because they do put together some, and draft, really good players. They really, really do. But it's obviously not good enough because if it was good enough, then they would get the job done. They didn't run into bad luck where Dak Prescott, messed up his knee going into the playoffs or Micah, popped his shoulder out of its socket. Like they didn't get these bad luck situations. Mike McCarthy is a capable coach. Is he Andy Reid? Of course not. But he is still a good enough coach. And if he's not, then why do you have him as your coach then? Move on. So the blame can really go from so many different ways. You can blame Dak Prescott. You can blame Micah. You can blame, CeeDee Lamb for that matter, or you can blame Mike McCarthy. Because if you don't think those players are to blame, then where does the blame go? If you think that it's the coaching, then why are you sticking with Mike McCarthy? That doesn't make sense. Like, I never understand because everyone always wants to kind of blame either the players or the coaches or Jerry. And it's like, you want to blame Jerry, but Jerry is putting together these teams that you all think, a lot of you think, that are a really good team in a way that you are excited that you think that they can win the Super Bowl. And that's why you're so devastated when they get beat in the playoffs, because you truly believe in your heart that this is their year, that they have a chance, that they can make a run, that Dak is for real, Micah is for real, CeeDee Lamb is for real. If you believe that and then they fail in the playoffs, how is that Jerry Jones's fault then? He put together a team that you think is amazing, that you think that they should be able to win a Super Bowl, that Vegas says that they have great odds to win a Super Bowl. So then how is it Jerry Jones's fault? It's got to be someone's fault. It's got to be something. So again, you have to figure out who is the problem then, because you always want to blame Jerry and not blame, say, Dak. And then it's like, well, okay, like you understand what I'm trying to say? So it's just the Dallas Cowboys conversation over the years has been very, very fascinating to me, because every year, especially within the last few years, it's always like they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They are elite. They are for real. And then they just lose spectacularly. And I really think the biggest issue is that for the most part, both the media and the Dallas Cowboys fans think Dak Prescott is better than he really is. He is a good quarterback, a very good quarterback. He is not great. He is not elite. Okay? And if you're the Dallas Cowboys and you draft and have a really good team, and collectively you have teams that are pretty good, players that are good, that then kind of give you a borderline great team, then it's like, well, why are these teams then not good enough to beat the Green Bay Packers? Why are they not good enough to beat the 49ers with Brock Purdy or Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, is Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo better than Dak? I know a lot of the 49ers fans believe that Purdy's better than Dak, but I'm pretty confident that a lot of you Dallas Cowboys fans don't think that. So then where is the problem? Where is the problem? So I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts, especially if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan and you consume a lot of Dallas Cowboys media, or, you're a local. Please let me know what the conversation is. I don't have access to it. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this one. What do you think the Cowboys should be doing? Who is the problem? Is it Dak? Is it Jerry? Is it someone else? McCarthy. Let me know in the comments below whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.